As they reached the entrance to the secret garden, Orga's heart swelled with emotion. The garden was just as she remembered it, a hidden oasis of tranquility nestled among the bustling streets of the village. The entrance was concealed by a tangle of ivy and wildflowers, giving it an air of mystery and enchantment. The family entered through the overgrown entrance, feeling a sense of peace wash over them as they stepped into the secluded garden. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers, and the sound of birdsong filled the air. Kaya's eyes widened in wonder as she took in the beauty of the garden, her hand clasped tightly in Orga's. "Mommy, it's so pretty here. I've never seen anything like it." She started running excitedly to see the flowers she had never seen. Such beautiful flowers. "Mom, can we take them home?" Orga smiled down at her daughter, her heart swelling with love. "I'm glad you like it, Kaya, but we can't take them home. It's the beauty of this place. You know what, Kaya? Let's play a game here and create a memory." Kaya jumped. "Yes, let's play hide and seek. But Mommy, what's a memory, and how do we create it?" Looking at her mommy with innocent, curious eyes, Orga chuckled at her daughter's eagerness and curiosity. "Memory is like a special treasure we keep in our hearts, Kaya. We create it by sharing moments together, like exploring this garden. Each time we come here, we'll remember the fun we had and the beautiful things we saw." Maggie nodded in agreement, her eyes misty with nostalgia. "Yes, just like this garden was our sanctuary, we will remember the time we spent here even when we grow older, like your great-grandma." The old woman was taken aback by the sudden example. "Well, Kaya, even if you grow older like me, you'll always remember this moment with me. At that time, I will be in heaven. But I will also remember you always. Now let's get to the bigger plan. Hide and seek." Among the vibrant blooms and lush greenery, they played hide and seek, laughter echoing through the garden as they chased each other around. Orga hid behind a tall bush, her heart filled with joy as she watched Kaya's excitement. Maggie, with her years of experience, found the perfect hiding spot behind an ancient oak tree, her eyes twinkling mischievously. As the game went on, they discovered hidden nooks and crannies, each moment becoming a cherished memory etched in their hearts. Then it was Kaya's turn to search for others. Everyone was hiding, and then she noticed another man's figure approaching them. Kaya smiled as the man pointed to where others were hiding. After she had found everyone, Kaya jumped, screaming with happiness, and ran to hug the man. It was none other than Frank. All eyes turned to him, everyone wondering how he came to this place. "Surprise!" Frank exclaimed, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Orga was genuinely taken aback, her heart skipping a beat at the sight of him, and she couldn't hide her curiosity. "Frank, oh my God, how on earth did you come to this place? What are you doing here?" Frank grinned. "Well, you invited me, remember? And I couldn't resist the chance to spend the day with you and Kaya. Besides, I wanted to see the village where you grew up." Orga couldn't ignore the warmth spreading through her chest at the sight of him standing there, his presence bringing a sense of comfort and joy. "Well, it is indeed a surprise, and you're welcome, Frank," Orga said, her voice filled with genuine happiness. "We'd love to have you join the game." He joined them in the game, and they enjoyed it as they played many more games. Kaya was so excited and enjoyed every single second they were spending there. The old woman didn't play much but was already tired, so it was like she had come to enjoy the view. She was sitting under the tree, watching as her granddaughters played with her one and only great-grandchild. As the day wore on, the sun began to dip towards the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over the secret garden. The laughter of the family echoed through the tranquil space as they continued their games, each moment filled with joy and camaraderie. As dusk settled in, they gathered together and joined grandmother under the tree near a small pond at the center of the garden. Frank, who was new to the old woman, introduced himself, but Grandma didn't say much. She remembered what Orga had told her about this man, that he was the one who had helped her and was now still doing it. She didn't say much. She just smiled and said, "Thank you for helping my daughter. You're always welcome here." The sound of crickets chirping filled the air, adding to the peaceful ambiance. Orga looked around at her family, feeling a profound sense of gratitude for this moment of togetherness. "Thank you all for coming here today," Orga said, her voice soft but filled with sincerity. "This garden holds so many memories for me and Maggie, and we are grateful to have shared it with each of you." Maggie nodded in agreement, her eyes shining with affection. "It's been a beautiful day, filled with love and laughter. I couldn't have asked for anything more." As the sun went down, the family decided to head home. They helped Frank find a place to stay in the neighborhood, and tomorrow they would head back to the city. Kaya nestled closer to her mother, a contented smile on her face. "I loved the place, Mommy. Can we go there again soon?" Orga hugged her daughter tightly, her heart overflowing with love. "Of course, sweetie. If you want, there are so many other beautiful places to visit. But first, you need to focus on your studies." Frank smiled warmly at them, his gaze lingering on Orga. "Count me in for the next visit. I wouldn't miss it for the world." Meanwhile, James had received news of Frank's visit to Orga's village and that they were having fun with family. His jealousy reached its peak. That had been his dream, to be Grandma's favorite son-in-law. Now someone is stealing his spot. I am the only man who deserves Orga. I won't let anyone take that from me, even if it means blood, then it will be it. James's jealousy burned like wildfire in his chest as he stewed over the news of Frank's visit. His mind raced with thoughts of reclaiming what he believed was rightfully his, Orga's affection and the coveted position as Grandma's favorite son-in-law. When he was together with Orga, she used to tell him about her grandmother. He had wished to visit her with Orga as a son-in-law. But now things have changed. He's the bad man in the eyes of the old woman before they had even met. Maybe, even if she can win Orga back, the old woman might not accept him now that there's another man in the picture. Determined to regain what he felt was rightfully his, James devised a plan. He couldn't let Frank steal Orga away from him, so he called Nick to his office. In less than 2 minutes, Nick entered his office. "Good morning, sir." Before Nick could utter another word, James handed him some pictures that showed Frank helping Maggie with her sprained ankle. Spread the news that Frank Miller was in love with the famous singer Maggie Henderson. Hire people to add comments supporting their relationship. When Frank joined Maggie, Orga, and Kaya at the park, Maggie fell down and wrecked her ankle. Frank helped her so that it wouldn't get swollen. The man who was sent by James to spy on Orga had taken a lot of pictures, including where Frank was closer to Orga and baby Kaya. But James had chosen to use pictures where Frank was helping Maggie to his advantage. In the picture, due to the angle at which the picture was taken, it looked like they were romancing in public. Nick was stunned. He couldn't understand what his boss had in mind. "But Sir, Frank and Orga are in love, and the news says they have a child together. Why are you interested in ruining their relationship when you're already married?" Nick knew well that the news of Frank being in love with Orga was fabricated by him to make James give up on her. Nick also didn't mind Frank getting closer to Orga because he loved her so much that he volunteered to help her with his career. Nick never thought that Frank might be interested in Orga, so for him, there was no problem with Frank getting closer to her. Besides, it was only for a short time until he convinced Orga to love him. The first thing Nick ever wanted was for James to know that Orga had given birth to his child. He said to himself, "I can't let James get closer to Orga. He can't find out that Kaya is his child. Only if I marry Orga will I allow him to know." Nick thought for a moment and realized that maybe James's plan of not allowing any man closer to Orga might work in his favor, so he decided to go with it. James trusted Nick. He would never think that Nick would be the person to betray him. He said, "Nick, Even though I live with Jocelyn, you know clearly what happened. Now I am working hard to divorce her. But I have to get rid of her and her family after I have regained full control of my company. While I am waiting for that time to come, I don't want anyone to get closer to Orga. Orga is mine, and mine alone. Now do what I told you to do. I know Frank's family would love to have Maggie as their daughter-in-law, and Maggie's fans will help me with this. Nick nodded reluctantly, understanding that James was determined to do whatever it took to keep Orga close to him. "I'll get on it right away, sir," he replied, taking the pictures and leaving James's office with a heavy heart. Deep down, he felt conflicted about his role in all of this, but he couldn't disobey James's orders. When he was out of James's office, he sneered, "No one should get closer to Orga. She is yours? Just wait and see. She will be mine." After hours of contemplation, Nick formulated a plan to expose the news of the city's top singer. He reached out to his contacts within the media industry and called a journalist named Luke. They had been working together for years, and if there was a person that Nick believed could do this job well, it was him. When the call was picked up, Nick spoke first, without wasting a second. "Hey, Luke, meet me at the city park in an hour. I have a gift for you, something that you'll be thrilled to get." Luke was intrigued by Nick's mysterious call. He knew that all the hints that Nick had given him were always the #1 hit on the internet. Curiosity piqued. "Of course, Nick, I will be there." Luke agreed to meet him at the city park. He quickly grabbed his notepad and camera, ready to capture whatever surprise Nick had in store for him. As Luke arrived at the park, he spotted Nick sitting on a bench, looking unusually determined. Nick waved him over with a smile. "Hey, Nick, what's the big surprise?" Luke asked, taking a seat beside him. Nick leaned in closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "Luke, I have news that I want you to make public, and I want it to be a super hit. Do all you can to make it happen. I know you'll be the first one to publish this news." He handed over the information and pictures showing that the famous singer Maggie Henderson was enjoying a romance with Frank Miller. Luke's eyes widened in surprise as he scanned through the information and pictures Nick handed to him. Maggie Henderson, the enigmatic pop sensation caught in a scandalous love affair? This was huge. "Nick, are you serious?" Luke whispered, almost incredulous. "Dead serious," Nick affirmed, his gaze unwavering. "This is going to make waves, Luke. I need you to run with it. Make sure it's everywhere by tomorrow morning." Luke nodded, feeling the weight of the story in his hands. This could be the scoop of the year. "I'll get right on it, Nick," Luke promised, his journalist instincts kicking into high gear. "You won't be disappointed." With that, Luke pocketed the evidence and dashed off, already formulating the headlines in his mind. He knew exactly where to start. The gossip columns would eat this up like candy. Nick sat back on the bench, a satisfied smirk playing on his lips. He took out his phone and dialed Frank's number. James sat back in his chair, a sense of satisfaction washing over him. He was willing to do anything to ensure that Orga remained by his side, even if it meant resorting to underhanded tactics. In his mind, he justified his actions as necessary steps to secure his happiness. James's phone buzzed with an incoming call. The call was from his sister, Winnie. James hesitated for a moment before answering the call from his sister. He took a deep breath and answered, "Hey, Winnie. What's up?" Winnie's voice sounded concerned at the other end of the line. "James, I heard about what your wife did to you. How could you live such a life and never tell us? How can you still be living with her?" James sighed. "I know, Winnie. It's been tough, but I'm working on getting out of this situation. It's just taking longer than I anticipated. Do you remember the girl I told you about? Orga? I want her back after I have cleared everything. I can't let my child grow with some other man." Winnie's tone softened with empathy. "Well, James, that's even the reason why I called you. Mom and Dad know about you and Orga. James didn't want his family to know about it yet. The only person he had told was Winnie, and he had warned her not to tell anyone about the relationship he had with Orga in the past. James's heart sank. Winnie, why did you tell them when I told you clearly not to open your mouth? James, you got me wrong. I said they found out about it, but I never said it was me who said it.